For the second time in just 6 months, Canada Post says it's received a strike notice from the union representing some 55,000 postal workers, with operations slated to shut down entirely by the end of the week. Employees plan to hit the picket line starting Friday, disrupting mail service across the country. Tessa Bennett joins us in studio with the details. Tessa, what can you tell us?
Manisa, similar to the last work stoppage, this strike would impact millions of Canadians and businesses that rely on Canada Post services. The union and Crown Corporation remain deadlocked over certain contract items like weekend work and pensions. If Canada Post and its union workers can't come to an agreement by end of day Thursday, your local postal centre might look like this again. The Crown Corporation announced yesterday it had received a strike notice from the union that represents some 55,000 postal workers, with the threat of walking off the job becoming a reality as soon as Friday.
People keep focusing on the fact that Canada Post conducts itself like a corporation, right? We're still a public service, which is a really important thing for people to remember. And part of being that public service is ensuring that there's good jobs for Canadians now and into the future.
A work stoppage would impact millions of Canadians who typically receive more than 2 billion letters and around 300 million parcels a year through Canada Post.
A strike that's long enough or a work stoppage that's long enough does lead them to negotiate a settlement. That's always true. There's always an eventual negotiated settlement. Question is, how long can the public tolerate it?
The Postal Service says throughout the duration of the strike, no new items would be accepted through the carrier, and any already in the system would be secured but not delivered. The only two exceptions would be social assistance checks and live animals.
The Canadian Industrial Relations Board can ultimately decide to send employer and workers back to work and arbitrate a settlement. Just because they're so far apart, they're not getting a resolution. Now,
if this is all starting to sound familiar, Canada's postal workers participated in a strike during peak shipping season last year, just ahead of the holidays. The work stoppage left millions of letters and packages in limbo and an extensive backlog to work through once operations resumed.
We obviously hope that we can avoid another strike. It was devastating to the company, devastating to our employees, devastating to small businesses and charities, rural and remote communities, and so many other people. We declared a pause last week and will be coming to the union this week with offers.
Some of the main sticking points for the union include Canada Post's desire to hire part-time workers to cover weekend deliveries, something full-time workers are currently paid overtime to do, as well as benefits and pensions. The talk of another strike comes amid broader questions about the future of Canada Post. A federally commissioned report that was published Friday stated the Crown Corporation was facing an existential crisis. The report laid out several recommendations for the company, including the phasing out of door-to-door letter mail delivery for individual addresses. Canada Post says the company wants to modernize its services, while the union wants to hold on to some of the more traditional parts of the postal industry.
If it does go to strike, the two parties are quite far apart. Now one has this added feature that there's a report written by a very esteemed and well-recognized arbitrator that seemingly aligns with what the management was saying. This isn't peak season of packages going out, mail going out, so the pressure's not as great. It means the leverage is lower for the union in this case.
The last strike taken by postal workers lasted just over a month, only ending after federal intervention. It resulted in an estimated $1.6 billion in losses for small businesses.